So we need to talk about artificial intelligence. We're going to break down what might be the biggest technological shift in, well, human history. We'll get into how we got here and what it all means for what comes next, based on some really eye-opening stuff.
And let's just start with a statement that's, well, it's impossible to ignore. Mo Gawdat, who used to be a top exec at Google X, he puts it this bluntly. And just notice the way he says it. Not that the world will be over, but that it is over. Right now.
I know, that is a really heavy statement. But it's not just for shock value. It's actually based on this fundamental deep-down change in how we create intelligence itself. And to really get what he means, we've got to look at how computers first started to think.
Okay, so let's break it down. It really all goes back to this massive shift that happened right around the year 2000. A shift that changed literally everything. We went from telling computers exactly what to do step by step to just letting them figure it out for themselves.
See, here's the crucial difference. In the old days, a human programmer had to solve the puzzle first. They had to figure it all out, and then they'd write code, which was just a recipe for the computer to follow. The intelligence was ours, you know. The computer just made it faster. But now we've totally flipped the script. We just give the machine the puzzle, throw tons of data at it, and it literally teaches itself how to solve it.
And here's a brilliant way to picture how this works. Imagine a little kid with one of those shape-sorting toys. You don't give them a lecture on geometry, right? You just hand them the toy. They try the cylinder in the square hole, nope. They try it in the star hole, fail. They try again and again, and then, click, it slides into the round hole. That's it. That's the light bulb moment. That's learning. And that is exactly what modern AI does, just with trial and error on a mind-boggling scale.
And you know, this new way of learning wasn't just some abstract idea in a lab. It led to some absolutely unbelievable breakthroughs that really show you just how powerful this is. Let's just look at a quick timeline to see how fast this power started to grow.
Think about this. As far back as 2009, Google researchers basically set an AI loose on YouTube. And after watching millions and millions of videos, it taught itself the concept of a cat. No one told it what a cat was. Then in 2016, you get AlphaFold, which cracks a problem that had stumped biologists for 50 years. And then, of course, 2023 rolls around and ChatGPT happens, the moment AI learned to talk like us.
Now, to really get why AlphaFold was such a bombshell, you have to understand the scale of this protein folding problem. It is so unbelievably complex that a whole team of brilliant scientists, PhDs, might spend the better part of a year just to map out the structure of one. Okay, you ready for this? In a single day, AlphaFold predicted the structure of 200 million proteins. That's not just a little faster than the human team. That is a scale of problem solving that is just fundamentally beyond us. This is what we mean when we say AI is solving problems we can't.
But hang on, if this stuff was happening way back in 2009, why did it feel like AI just exploded out of nowhere in 2023? Well, the answer is something called the Netscape moment. A Netscape moment is basically that point when a really complex technology, one that's been bubbling under the surface for years, finally gets a simple, user-friendly front door that anyone can open. And all of a sudden, everybody can see it. Everybody can use it. Everybody's talking about it.
Just think back to the internet. It existed for more than a decade before most people even knew what it was. It was this complicated thing for academics and the military. Then, in 1995, the Netscape browser came along. And suddenly, we had a simple, visual way to click around and explore. Netscape didn't invent the internet, but it sure made it visible to the world.
And that is exactly what ChatGPT was for AI. The powerful engine was already there, chugging away for years. But ChatGPT was the simple chat box. It was the browser that finally let millions of us actually talk to it. It was AI's Netscape moment. So, now that the genie's out of the bottle, now that the whole world has seen what AI can do, it brings up the biggest question of all: where is this all going? And from what we can tell, we are standing at a pretty major fork in the road, with two very different paths ahead. But before we look at those paths, you have to get this one crucial thing. What we've seen with ChatGPT is just the tip of the iceberg. That's linguistic intelligence. But AIs are already on the verge of developing other kinds of intelligence, like emotional intelligence, really deep reasoning, and complex math that's way beyond what we can do. And that brings us to these two wildly different futures. Down one path, you have a kind of utopia, an age of abundance where these powerful AIs could help us crack our biggest problems: disease, poverty, climate change, you name it.
But the other path, that leads to a dystopia, a really tough time where these same systems create challenges we can't even begin to imagine yet.
Look, the point of all this isn't to be an alarmist. Not at all. As Mo Gawdat puts it, this is about awareness. It's like the old story about the frog in a pot of water. If you turn up the heat slowly, it doesn't notice until it's too late. The idea here is to just realize the water is, in fact, boiling right now.
And so, this whole thing leaves us with one last, really crucial question. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is our reality. The change is happening now, today, whether we're ready for it or not. So the only question left is, how are you going to respond?